I'm delighted to call back up to the stage my friend Norman Punter.
I used to be a writing professor at a community college, and the job was mostly sales. I had to sell them on the fact that what I was teaching was meaningful, and they were not buying it. Early in my teaching career, I had a conference with a business major, this young woman, and she said that's a required research paper is a literal boner killer. And I pointed out to her that she did not possess boner-making capabilities. And she said, duh, it's a metaphor, read your own lecture notes. And I said, yes, but you said literal boner killer, and it doesn't work for that thing. And she rolled her eyes, and the subtext of her rolling her eyes was, shut up, nerd. And that energy wasn't wrong. I'm definitely a nerd when it comes to writing and story zone. But still, I needed them to care about my class. And not because I cared about them. Wasn't that at all. You know Robin Williams and Dead Poets Society and Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie with the Coolio song? That is not me. I didn't care about them, I cared about myself. I had to read their shitty papers. There's probably an English teacher right there. I mean, a man can only read so many regurgitated ideas about abortion and immigration before his own boner capabilities are in peril. So I switched things up. I made the students the subject of the research paper. I had them describe something that was important to them. Belief, conviction, passion, fear. And then I had them reduce it, distill it, contract it, until they got it to a place that was exciting to them, something that lit them up, like the intellectual equivalent of a little blue pill. And from there were a lot of interesting ideas. There were beliefs in God, beliefs in Nova, fears of life, fears of death. There was shame, so much shame. Vulnerability galore, the sweet spot of storytelling. And from there, I told them, now you need to come up with a narrative experience that you can pursue that will challenge this belief that you've written along. And this led to so many wonderful stories. There was a Catholic young woman, devout Catholic, and she chose to attend services at a church of Satan and have weekly coffee dates with a satanic priest. And in her free writing, she'd written that she was fully expecting them to invite her to drink the blood of babies or sacrifice a goat. None of that happened, of course. And she gave a presentation at the end, and she concluded that she had way more in common with a satanic priest than she thought. There was an aspiring pastry chef, and he was straight out of Central Casting. Big, stocky, that's how I would describe him. In his free writing, fat bastard was the words he used to describe himself. He said he'd always been fat, he planned on always being fat, and he felt nothing but shame about it. That was heartbreaking. And in our conference, I said, why do you want to be a pastry chef? And he said, look at me. Wouldn't you buy pastries for me? And I didn't respond. He goes, I don't look like I don't know about cinnamon rolls. We talked a little more about his shame, and he came up with this on his own. And he decided to attend a nudist retreat for the weekend. And it was rough. The first day, he took his shirt off. And the second day, he spent the whole day in his underwear. And on the third day, he checked into a volleyball game in the spirit of the Garden of Eden. In his presentation, he said, after the first few points, you don't even really notice all the body parts that are flipping and flapping and flopping around. Even mine. As it turns out, a steady stream of vitamin D on your ass is, it works. Another kid, a math major, was a, quote, loser with the ladies, despite, another quote here, being a hopeless teenage romantic. Huh. He said he felt lonely, he had no confidence, and he really wanted to address this, but he was struggling to come up with a narrative. And so I said, well, what if you merge this enthusiasm you have for math with this romantic pursuit? And I didn't even really get the question out before he started scribbling on ideas. And his idea was he was going to ask 100 women for their phone numbers. He was going to turn a romantic pursuit into a data-driven experiment. He actually ended up getting over 100 women's phone numbers when he realized that he was quite literally playing a numbers game. And when he did his presentation, I noticed that all of the young women, not all of them, but a good healthy amount of them were really engaged, watching him, smiling warmly. It's a pretty good aphrodisiac to be vulnerable, apparently. So many other ideas kind of still stick with me. I had a student who lost both of his parents in a car accident. Still grieving them. He got an internship to dig graves at a cemetery. Another young woman who had ADHD taught herself to juggle. It was a way to kind of enhance her focus. I don't think that's scientifically backed, but that's what she did. Another self-described flake put together her calendar down to the minute and lived by it for 30 days, which is super impressive. And it pissed off her boyfriend something awful because in his estimation, she did not allot as much time as necessary for the requisite making out that he expected from their relationship. The best and most memorable presentation that I got in project writing, the whole bit, came from a 7 a.m. composition class. It was equally divided, young men, young women, but one young woman stood out. She showed up to every class exhausted and looking like she'd been up all night in pursuit of naughty choices. Her makeup was smeared, hair disheveled, teeny tiny skirts, cleavage so aggressive it could have peeked out the top of a turtleneck. She had this energy about her that said, I would be delighted to show you how flexible my hamstrings are. She was a thing. The young men, as you might expect, were all about her. They gave her all the attention. The young women, not so much. When it came time to have conferences, I said, what are you planning to do for this project? And she said, I'm going to be abstinent for a month. And I wasn't crazy about this, mainly because it's really difficult to write about what you're not doing. Right? Storytelling is about action. Write about what you are doing. And I told her as much, and she said, I think I can make this interesting. I work in adult films, and I haven't gone a day without sexual activity in years. And this was not surprising and also surprising. Not surprising because she was wearing the adult film actress uniform every day. Surprising because it was a 7 a.m. English composition class and it just went against type, I suppose. But I told her two things. One, you're going to have to present this, so you have to share this to all of your classmates. And she said, exhibitionism? Check. And then I said, well, you also have to do research. And she said, I've already started research. I've been researching abstinence, purity, temperance, promiscuity, through the lens of philosophy, psychology, and something else that I'm forgetting. There was three other things, and I heard all that and I said, happy writing, I guess. I don't know what to say. And a month later, she presented her paper. And she shared all about her life, her experience, the work she did. She shared her research. It was articulate, it was erudite. It was great. She wrapped it up and she said, any questions? This is where it got interesting. Because about a dozen hands shot up in the air, all young women. And they all wanted to know about her relationships. They wanted to know more of her thoughts about intimacy, how this impacted her life with her parents, her family, boyfriends. Like, they were just all kinds of questions, right? They were all about it. And she answered their questions, and she was professional, articulate. She even conceded that that the project left her with her own questions, and she was kind of not sure what her future held as a result of this. By contrast, the young men, they squirmed. They folded their arms, they crossed their legs, they got as small as you can imagine. They averted eye contact at all possibilities, as if this woman or any woman would make them like spontaneously combust. There was a definitive shift in power. It was bizarre. It was a third act twist that lasted the rest of the semester. It was an honest to God, real life, literal boner killer. Thank you.